All right. Well, apparently we're live and we missed the camel. So here we are. Happy Wednesday, everyone. We are back and we have an extra special guest this week. We have Marcus, Mr. Brick City Time, and his amazing, amazing creation. Uh, what's the official term here? Entrant doesn't sound right. It's
But a submission, that's what I've been
yeah.
using, like a submission.
Submission doesn't sound as like aggressive enough. Like you sounds tame. Like this is my thing. Forcing in front of the Lego group, they're gonna do it.
I'm hoping so. Like I'm praying that this one gets selected and we get this as a finalist set.
Yeah, I mean it's. I think probably by late tomorrow afternoon, Jen is going to be standing at Lego HQ. She is fired up.
I don't blame her.
Anyway.
I'm so excited about it. Here, I just want to give everyone like a quick view of it.
Look at that. That is glorious.
And we have it back here.
That's like a dream home for me personally. Just the idea of water right outside the door like that.
I know.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Even got the garage right there too. I like that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this one definitely took me a couple of months to come up with and create, but it's actually the first design that I created and finished in studio.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a hell of a start.
Jeez. Trust me, it took a lot of learning for sure. Because prior to that, I was only, used to building live with whatever loose pieces I had or whatever sets that I had that I was going to combine with them. So it was definitely a different experience. And so it's like, I remember playing with Lego when I was a kid, but if you ask me what set I had as a kid, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you. I remember going to the store and probably getting a little set, maybe like a car or something, but I don't really remember exactly what sets I would, play with back then. I was mainly into, like technology. I wanted to learn about computers and phones and things like that when I was younger. So I didn't really get into Lego officially until last year. So it was last year, January. I was online shopping. We have an online auction website here where you can bid on items. They start each at $1. And depending on whatever the highest bid is, when the item closes 24 hours later, because it's only listed for 24 hours, they have a local warehouse where you can come and pick it up and, just get all of your items live. And if you want to, return it, or it's not what you want right there, you can, just return it right there with no questions asked. So I was actually on there and I found the bonsai tree. And I think I ended up getting it for about $20. And so I, remember going pick it up. Everything looked good with it. I mean, the box was a mess, but the seal was still on it. So I was cool with everything being in the box. Got it home. I remember putting it together, and it was just so much fun to put that set together. And it just awakened my love for Lego. And after that, I instantly wanted to put a building together. That was the very next thing I wanted to put together. And so I remember going to the store and purchasing the boutique hotel. That was the first modular building that I put together. And that was a lot of fun. I had a ton of fun putting that together. It, was still like a learning curve because this is my first ever building, doing in Lego. And so when I was learning it and just looking at the different techniques and things used in it, it got my mind going for wanting to create a building of my own. And so I, finished putting that together, and then I did buy the Jazz Club next and put that together. And so once those were put together, and really at the time, those were the only like official modular buildings in the Icons line that was available, other than the museum, which I haven't gotten a museum yet. I guess it's not like my favorite modular building. So I don't have the museum yet in my collection, but I wanted to start on working on my own creation. So the first thing I wanted to create was a Lego house, but didn't have hardly any pieces. I'm just starting out. I went to the Lego store. I think I bought, what was it? A couple of Lego store sets. And I went to the pick a build wall, and then I went to a Bricks and Minifigs to see what they had in their loose piece bin. And from that, I just started working on, getting this building together. And I remember my first creation wasn't anything that, to be honest, I was really proud of. I had literally just like put bricks together, and it wasn't anything that I was happy with. So it actually took me about a month of going back to the Lego store, buying. I remember I bought a Main Street set. I went and bought more pieces from the pick and build wall because they had new pieces that were coming in different colors. And after about, a month or so of me constantly going to the Lego store, going to Bricks and Minifigs, taking this building apart numerous times and putting it back together, I had finally created something that I was really happy with. And this was my first mock creation. And it ended up being on the first floor, it was like a Lego store. And then there was like a door that took you upstairs to go to the second level, which was an apartment. At the time, I was really into the Lego movie. I'd never seen it. So my first time seeing it was last year, and I really fell in love with it. So for the second floor, I gave like Emmett and Wild Style an apartment in the building. And then on the third floor, I consider that to be Cloud Cuckoo Land, where there were no rules. So I literally used any color brick I had left. I just wanted to finish the building. So literally the top floor is a rainbow of colors on the inside of whatever pieces I had that would make this an entire building. And so luckily I had enough. It was enough for me to go ahead and finish the building, and it looked really clean and beautiful from the front, because I was finding that a lot of the buildings that I build by hand with whatever pieces I have, I make sure that the front looks immaculate, and then the sides and the back will use whatever color I have the most of, which is a lot of times gray or white or black, whatever you have left over to fill in those areas. But from the front view, which, that's what everybody's going to see anyway, because when it's connected to another building, you're not really going to see the sides or the back. So that was the first creation that I had. The sides were whatever colors I had left over, but the front looked really beautiful and clean.
So how long did that take you before you get to that point? That was fast, right?
Altogether, it took me 2 months to create that first building.
Wow.
So each weekend I would be literally taking it apart and, putting it back together in order to, get it to something that I liked. And it's on my Instagram page. So if you check out my Instagram, Brick City Time, all of my creations, all of my mocks that I've done, I've taken pictures of them and posted on there. I do want to start doing more on YouTube and doing videos and things. I haven't branched out there yet, but I do want to make that the next step, to do more videos and more content on YouTube as well.
It's interesting over here. You meet some interesting people.
Yeah.
So that's wild. So okay, so you got that built, and that was completely off the dome. You just went for it. Where did you go from there?
From there, the next creation that I did was a police station. So Lego, has a police station set out right now. I forget exactly how many pieces it has in it, but it's mainly just like the front of the police station, and it comes with like a little police car. And I'm trying to remember the price. I think it's around like $80, but I literally took a couple of those police station sets and I made an entire police station building. So on the first floor, I made that like the processing area. So I put like jail cells in. I used some of the stickers that were in the police station set, like the wanted sign, to decorate on the inside, have chairs in there for the sitting area, added in like a little TV on the screen, on the wall. But that's what I did mainly for the first area, and then for the first floor. And then for the second and third floor, I actually used the office set to fill in the inside of that police station. So like all of the desks, and I did add a table in there, my own table and chairs for like a long table and chair type scene. But everything else, the desk, like the copy maker, I think it came with also with a fire extinguisher, all of that I put on the inside of the second and third floor of the police station.
That's awesome. So, and that one you also did just completely on your own, no studio, just winging it, figuring it out.
Just winging it with whatever I had, whatever pieces I could get from the pick and build wall. And luckily here, so I'm in Vegas, and luckily here the pick and build wall in the fashion show store is really good with the pieces they get. So I was really, really lucky to get a lot of my new pieces there, because they would be shifting them in, and they would have a lot of, you know, white, black, gray, and good brick sizes. Then they would be getting good panel pieces for windows, those, you know, clear 1x5x6 panel pieces. So I stocked up on a bunch of those. But yeah, that's where I would get a lot of my pieces from. And so whatever I could get from there, along with whatever set I was working with, that's what I would use in order to do my next creation.
I am jealous. Our wall here is terrible. It's all the oddball stuff that, what am I going to do with a 1x2 slope and like magenta? Like,
Exactly.
I don't need thousands of those. Although I
Exactly.
probably have a couple hundred of them. Yeah, they're less than ideal.
Yeah, so that's one good thing I love about here. I think that store is really good about choosing the pieces they put on their wall.
So at what point did you feel comfortable enough building on your own to take the next step and actually get in, use the studio and start designing?
Well, at this point, I still didn't even know studio existed, because I hadn't started my social media page or anything like that. So I was still a newbie at this point. I would just sit in here on the weekends. It was like my meditation, where I would just want to create something, and buildings are my favorite. And so I was always looking for, what's the next building I want to create. And so at that point, I didn't even know studio existed. All I knew was building live with real pieces. Because the next thing that happened is after I did the police station, about a month or two later in July of last year, that's when I started my Instagram page, Brick City Time. And that's when I started learning about Bricklink. I didn't even know Bricklink was a thing. So it wasn't until then when I started learning from the Lego community about Bricklink, that studio existed. I didn't even know any of that was a thing. Even a few months into it, I still wasn't privy to that. I was still building the same way I was, just posting pictures and videos of it, because the next thing I did was about August, I had planned a trip to go to Minnesota to go to the Mall of America, and I wanted to go to their pick and build wall. And that's the most massive pick and build wall that I've seen so far, is the one in the Mall of America. And I did stock up on a ton of good pieces while I was there, which was a good thing, because I needed it for my next few creations that I was going to come up with when I got back home. The first thing that I did when I got back home was create a new treehouse. So you know that there's the Lego Ideas treehouse set. I was lucky to get two of them. The first one I built the way it came, and I enjoyed the build. I loved the way it looked and all the details inside. But I also wanted to do one that had a more modern look, because I love a modern look when it comes to my buildings. So I did a version using the pieces that I got from the pick and build wall in the Mall of America to create a modernized version of the treehouse. And so that was the very next creation that I came out with and posted on my Instagram page. And I posted them kind of side by side to show the original one, and then, you know, my version of the treehouse. And then after that, I wanted to create another. Actually, at the time, this was going to be my largest building. I wanted to create like a shopping mall. And it reminded me kind of my teenage years. Whenever I wasn't in school, we wanted to go, you know, hang out at the mall, go check out what's new in the stores, go to the movies, whatever we wanted to do just to have some fun. So that's what I used as inspiration for this next creation that I did. It was called the Plaza. And in that set, I used a couple of the food trucks. So I used the hamburger food truck. I used the, the slushy fountain, the slushy van. And then I also used from the Main Street set, they have like a cafe as one of the 3-in-1 creations that you can do in that set. So I used kind of that coffee mug and donut from that set to create a cafe. And so the first floor was kind of like a food court, essentially. And then the second level was a Lego store. I also had a pretzel stand, and there were restrooms on that level. And then on the third level, there was a flower shop that I created from the Main Street set. They had this like really cool large camera. I used that to create sort of like a photo camera store. And then the last one, I used the front from their record shop to make a record shop on the plaza. And then the top floor was essentially a clothing store. I used a bunch of extra minifig pieces that I probably have sitting, in a drawer that I'm never going to use. And I kind of used those as, clothing in a clothing store and had like a shop sign in there. So that was my next creation that I completed, because I really just wanted to have something massive. And it was also the first time that I did 4 floors. Any of the other buildings that I've done have only been 3. But it was really cool. And I liked the shape that came from it. It was like a really weird, unique shape of it.
All right, I gotta throw this up on screen if I can figure out how to do it here. Just looking at your Instagram as you describe this, and share. Is that the Disney castle in the Lego store window?
Yes, it is.
Wow. That is amazing. That is so good. Wow. Yeah, this is fantastic.
And that's the police station that's next to it. That white and blue building that was next to it in that shot, that's the police station.
Yeah, I saw that there. Oh, this one's a video. All right.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna get in trouble for showing a video on YouTube. I think they banned that.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, and that's the tree house. Yeah, the modern version of the tree house.
Oh wow. Yeah. That's actually pretty cool.
Oh, that's.
Oh yeah, no, that's a video. Yeah, the one with 2 of them. That's a picture.
Here we go.
Yes, you can show that one.
Yeah, look at that.
They kind of look modern, like the Riverside retreat that you have there too.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Actually, looks better like that.
Where was? Okay, so I'm looking at this one here, the Birch books and that stuff, and then it looks like if I scroll up a little bit, where did I see that? This one?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. That's fantastic.
So this was my next creation. I called this one the Square. And in this one, I used 2 of the diner sets, the Friends diner sets. In order to create that one, I needed 2 of those signs. I used the Friends cafe set in the other corner. I put a pizza shop back there that I came up with the sign myself. And then there's another Lego store there on the first level. And then the second level is a fresh market right there on the corner. And then we have the Birch bookstore across the way.
That's so good.
Great use of the Halloween GWP too.
Yes.
As like a Halloween decoration. That's cool.
Yeah.
And that happened by accident. So I was originally going to use that space to be like a sitting area. I was going to put some trees there, bench, make it really nice. And I had just picked up that GWP. And when I was sitting there, that square was just empty. And I was like, oh, that seems like the perfect spot to put this pumpkin. And so when I started putting it there, I was like, oh, that's perfect. I was like, I can't change that. I was like, that's too perfect. And so I decided to use that area for basically holiday decorations for Christmas. I put the Christmas tree set there and removed the pumpkin.
That's awesome. Right. Oh, yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
That's great. Just tucked right in.
Fits perfectly too. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, this is.
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw the size of that square. I was like, it would fit too perfectly there. I was like, it can't be this perfect, and it just
turns out perfect.
Perfect spot for a photo op.
Yeah.
It's great. Oh, and look at all these up here.
Yeah, the pumpkin. Oh man,
This is unreal.
all the little details are just so brilliant.
Yeah, seriously. It's you picked up on everything. Now, as I lean right into my monitor, I'm trying to peek in the window of Birchbox here. Nope, there's a cat on the roof.
Yeah.
So this is also a good time to point out, since you mentioned working in Friends there, that Friend sets, people complain about mini dolls all they want, that's fine. But the sets are actually pretty good quality.
They're really good.
They can be used for so much more than just a little girl's like play set.
For sure.
Way better than that.
For sure. Yeah. This build made me love the French sets. When I saw how good that diner and the cafe turned out, I was like, the French sets, they're on another level. They're really, really good.
Yeah, it's actually looking in here. Like every one of their sets has these awesome awnings.
Mm-hmm.
They make the best use of that stuff.
Yeah. So I'm definitely planning to use more of their sets in future builds because I still plan to build in studio. So I have, my next creation in studio ready to go. I want to do a Lego idea submission. It's one that's already been submitted before, but didn't make it through. So it's based on a TV show, Martin from the 90s. And
I remember the
so
show. Yeah.
I want to, I've already got it built out in studio and ready to go. I'm waiting for the pieces to come in from Bricklink, but that's going to be my first Lego Ideas submission that I send in. Oh, yep, and this is the Christmas version.
Wow. That's great. It's so tall.
Yeah. Imagine a giant nutcracker at the top of like a applause in real life.
And originally I was going to use the original tree size, but the tree, it was too wide at the bottom if I did the original tree size, so I had to bring it up.
So how wide is this? Like just this area we're looking at here?
It's the same width as the museum. So it's 32 by 32 base plate and then a 16 by 32 base plate.
Okay. That's a really good size. It's got so much depth to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to do something big. Prior to that, I had only done a 32 by 32 base plate. And so with that one, I really wanted to do something that was large. Plus, since I did purchase the bookshop and you saw I put the bookshop together the original way, I only did that for the build experience. I did take that down, and as you saw, I used the the birch book signs and something else. But that left me with all of those 16 by 32 base plates.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's building things the traditional way out of the box. You can pick up a lot of techniques there that you might miss if you're just, figuring things out on your own.
Yeah, for sure. And even with like those friend sets and things like that, I definitely use, of course, their techniques to just build upon that and how can I integrate that into the rest of the build. And it takes a while, me sitting there playing around and mixing those different colors to see which one looks better in which area of the shopping center. So it took a long while to build that. I think that one took about almost 2 months. I think it was about 2 months for that one to come to fruition as well.
So 2 months. There are so many people that I follow that for larger builds, like box builds, it takes them 2 months to complete them. I mean, this show started off as a build night, and we were doing an hour and 15 minutes or something, and one of the Lunar New Year sets I didn't even finish after like 4 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, so 4 weeks, it's, it's 5 or 6 hours, but still, that's kind of pathetic putting it that way.
No, but trust me, it all depends. If I have an idea and I'm feeling creative, because there are times where I get blocked and I go days or a couple of weeks without building because I'm not in a creative space, or I'm like mentally blocked on how I want to finish the build. Because there are certain ones like the square and the plaza that you saw where, trust me, those buildings looked so different, and they have had so many different versions, including this house has had so many different versions before the finished final product came out.
So where do you start? Like mentally, where do you start?
So whenever I start on something new, I always try to start with the inside. I feel like, to me, that's the easiest to start with, because if I know where I want to place things on the inside, it gives me a guide on how much space I'm going to be working with on the outside of the build, or how the layout should go. So I'll start with putting in some of the furniture pieces, where I think some of the flooring should go, to kind of give me a guide to know what I'm going to be working with. And so, for example, let's take, this build right here. So for this one started on the back. So what I started with was this area right here. Reason being is because I had come across a picture a few years ago online of this house, and it had like this really cool deck, these lounge chairs and this beautiful water that it was overlooking. And so that's where I wanted to start with this build. So I literally started right here, and this deck and everything was put on first before the house was even, any part of the house was put in. Once I had this area perfected with the greenery and the water and the deck the way I wanted it to be, then I started on the house. So I was like, okay, how much space do I have left on this base plate with this back area to do the house? And so I, started coming out here to the front, and I was like, okay, what do I want to display out here on the front? How much area do I want to give this on the front? So that's when I started. I was like, well, I'd like to have, maybe some nice flowers out here, a vine. I was like, I'll put in this mailbox here, if you can see that. And I did put in these 5s for 55. Only reason is because 5 was the only number for those pieces. And so I just figured that would be cool. And then I started, putting in these walls here. And I got to this area here, on the inside of the house. And I was like, well, what am I going to do with that? And that's where I came up with it being a powder room. So on the inside of this first floor, this is a powder room. And I wanted something unique for the walls, because I figured since it was such a small space, there's not really a lot that you can pack in there once you put in, if you're going to put in, a toilet, a sink, and those type of things. So that's where I came up with this kind of mosaic wall. And then once I did this here, and I got to like the second floor to do the chimney, I figured this pattern looked gorgeous here. It might as well continue on these, other floors as well. And the kitchen here, and both of these, fireplaces. But I always start with whatever idea I have. I want to start with whatever, like I said, the easiest is. And so for a building, to me, doing either the scenery or the inside, to me, is easier to know what layout you're working with before you start putting the building up around it.
That's so the opposite of how my brain would work. But that makes good sense. Okay, so if you were to just have like a basic rectangle, and say you build the bathroom in the corner, now you've built the contents of the bathroom, so now you know where the walls have to land for that. Exactly. And then you just go to the next room.
Yeah.
Huh. That's bananas. So, all right. So the mosaic in the wall there, are those all plates stacked to make that?
That's all plates.
Really? That's a hell of a pattern out of plates.
Mm-hmm. And so in the one for the powder room, this one uses plates that are all, it's either like 1x2, 1x1, or 1x3 plates that are used for this one. Whereas the ones that are used up here in the chimney, since these are wider, some of these are going to be like 2x1, or no, I'm sorry, yeah, like 2x2, 2x3, and yeah, it would still be 1x2. It would still be 1x2, just turned to the side. But that's what's going to make up these mosaics there.
Okay. So that gives you the extra depth
Mm-hmm.
because it's one straight run as opposed to a corner like the other side.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the reason for the depth for those, so we can take a look inside. So the reason for the depth needed for those is because on the inside, we have those fireplaces, and behind those we have, like the black brick that's gonna sort of be the background for it, and you can see that on the outside. So for this one, that's where the fireplace on the inside is going to be.
That's nuts. That's such great use of that.
Mm-hmm.
And
So that way, I wanted to continue that on the outside, and then on the roof we have the chimney that continues up here for both of them. So the roof has a mosaic in it too for that chimney.
there are no missing details here. That's bananas. Who's your provider? What's the who's feeding that satellite?
DirecTV. I will say DirecTV is feeding that satellite.
All right. They can sponsor you after the show.
Okay. But yeah, so in here, I wanted to, of course, have it be detailed, but still have a clean look. So, we've got our, dresser over there that's next to the fireplace. I did use the little friend set for a purse, and we've got a hairbrush. And then, for the bed, I wanted the headboard to be kind of built in, because I was going to do a separate bed, but I felt like the built-in headboard here looked really nice and clean for the bed there. And then on this side, we've got our computer desk and our computer in there, because I work remotely from home, so my computer is in my bedroom.
Awesome.
Yep, and then back there we've got our master suite with our tile. We've got our nice tub and rainforest shower head. We've got our sink with our silver piece for our vanity mirror there. We've got our toilet there, and then of course we've got the fireplace that continues into the master suite.
I build, like, I'm a carpenter by trade, so I'm looking at that, trying to figure out if I could build it in real life as I'm set.
Yeah, I've always wanted to have a fireplace in my bedroom and in the bathroom.
In the bathroom.
Always love that. Just always love that. So it's like anything that I would love to have in the house.
One of the rooms of that top floor, there's no floor panel. Is that?
Which one?
I don't know if I was seeing it correctly. Yeah, the top room right next to the bathroom.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
So this right here is a
bathroom. I think the kind of where the glass door is at the very top.
Oh, right here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's for the stairs. That's an opening for the stairs.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So if we come here to the second level, that's an opening for this staircase right here.
Oh man, nothing is missing. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so here, of course, we've got the living area. So that's that fireplace there with our TV up here. We've got our game system. We've got two of the minifigs there. The brothers, they're like, taking turns playing video games. We've got our dining table here in the middle. And then we've got, a bookcase over here with like a little trophy, little Once Upon a Time piece there, newspaper piece on the table. And then, of course, we've got our kitchen here with our eat-in bar. And we've got, all our cabinets. We've got a refrigerator here. So I'm trying to make sure here. So we've got a refrigerator here. We've got a toaster. We've got the vent, another cabinet, some little jars up there. We've got a blender, a coffee maker, and a broom hanging there on the wall.
service.
And then down
So-
here in the corner, I've always wanted to have a globe in the house, so I also have a globe sitting there in the window.
Little globe.
And then we've got that, balcony there for the second floor that comes out right there from the living area.
That's great.
Here we go. And we've got the first floor here. So on the first floor, we've got our pool table there. We've got some built-in drawers here under the stairs to take, use to make use of that space. Then we've got the powder room in there with that mosaic wall. We've got our sink and toilet and toilet paper holder in there. Then on this side, we've got our refreshment stand. So we've got some sodas there in the fridge. We've got some bottles. We've got some darts and arrows back here in the game room. Nice little table and chair set back there. And then, of course, on the outside, we've got this nice pathway here that leads out to the dock where you can do some fishing. And then we've got our lounge chairs, of course, and the car over there sitting under the carport.
I'm really impressed that car has not budged the whole time you've been moving that around. How was
So
that?
I have a plate under there holding it in place because I wanted the car to be there, but I wanted you to be able to move the model and the car not move, but still look like it's just sitting there.
That's great. So I'm looking at the plate there with the depth on that, where that's built up thick. How would that work for the people that put everything on Mills plates?
So for the people that put everything on Mills plates, I mean, this really kind of is almost a Mills plate. You would just have to fill in this area here, but I've already taken care of you on every other side as far as this being a Mills plate, because I build all my buildings on Mills plate, and I just want this to be able to go into the building easily. So really, you would just have to, of course, put in your connector pieces here. But this, I mean, really, I've already kind of given them most of the Mills plate.
Yeah, so that can just be an edge and could work it out to feed into an actual river.
Yeah.
One step ahead already.
Yeah. Or if they want to, close this off and just, make this a regular back, totally up to them. But it should be.
They can't do that.
Wow. But yeah.
That is great.
Yeah.
All right. So the buildings prior to this that we were looking at on Instagram, if you were to throw those in studio now, do you think you'd come out about the same, or do you think you would ruin your own creations?
Actually, if I were to do them in studio now, I'm actually planning on putting them in studio. Reason being is because remember I told you, like, on the back of most of them, they kind of have like wild colors because I didn't have the right color. Well, I want to put them in studio so that I can order the right color from Bricklink and kind of complete them. So I wouldn't change anything with the way they look from the front because they're perfect from the front, but I would order what pieces I need in order to fix the back of those buildings to get them perfect all the way around. Like this one, like this is the first building that I have where no matter what direction you look at it, each piece is exactly perfect with what I wanted to select for that piece.
So for changing those backs, is that just because you feel you should, or do you actually see the backs?
No, you don't really see them. To be honest, when you look at the buildings, you can't see them. I think it would just be for me because I'm a perfectionist and I know they're not perfect. That would be the only reason that I would change anything on them. Other than that, I think those buildings are perfect in the city the way they are.
Seriously.
Mhm.
So, okay. So with this set, doesn't wasn't there a rule about modulars in the designer program?
Okay,
Is there a loophole there you can explain to us?
gotcha. I gotcha. So, um, when I first got into the Bricklink Designer Program rules and read each one of them, I was nervous about whether or not they would accept my design at first. Because after reading through everything, to be honest, the written instructions aren't really clear on what truly is allowed and what's not. It wasn't until I watched the webinar that I truly got an understanding of what they mean by modular building. And this is what they mean. Number one, typically a modular building is flat on two sides. So if it's a corner building, that means it's going to be flat on those, two back corner sides. If it's going to be a building, that's going to be from front and have two buildings on each side, one side on each side is going to be flat. If you have a creation or a building that's decorated on three or more sides, that is not a modular building because you've now decorated more sides than a modular building gets decorated. Number two, you are not allowed to use, like lamp posts because clearly all modular buildings come with a lamp post, so you can't have that. You don't want to have your tiles, those gray brick tiles that they use for the front of the building for the sidewalk. You can't have yours exactly like that. It has to be different. So there are ways to still get buildings in, but you just have to get around it. So the reason that mine got around it is because one, my building is decorated all the way around. So it's a 360 decorated building. So all four sides are decorated. Number two, I do use tile in the front for where the carport and for the front door, but mine doesn't go all the way across like how a modular building would. Number two, since mine isn't flat, like a modular building comes built flat on the base plate. Since my building is also raised, sort of like on an almost Mills plate, that's not a modular building. So
Okay.
those reasons there make mine technically not a modular building. Even though I have separating floors like a modular building, you can have separating floors. And they said that. It just, you can't blatantly put up a building that's a modular building with two flat sides, the front of it being exactly how they do it. You just have to come up with something that's different.
So you just have to build better than a modular building.
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. That's great. It sounds like they're shooting themselves in the foot, really. But
yeah, really, that's how I feel about it. And then all the instructions they have on, putting together the file in Studio for instructions. I was so happy they didn't require any changes on my file. I was kind of late getting it in. The deadline for us to have them in was the 31st, and that's with any changes that they request. So I didn't submit mine until the 29th, but before then, I spent hours. I think the day before I spent at least 10 hours going through each instruction step to make sure it made sense to someone else. Like if they were to pick up my instructions, they would be able to put this together with no problem. And I made sure those instructions were exactly like that. And I was so happy that they sent me a confirmation and approval on Friday, that 31st, just letting me know that I was approved. Because I said, I can't afford any changes.
So, did you build off of your own instructions when you built it? This
Yes.
most recent time, you did.
Yes. It was a very weird experience. So I told you this was the first creation I did from start to finish in Studio. So once I finished building it in Studio, I did order all the pieces from Bricklink. This was also my first time ordering anything from Bricklink. So, I uploaded the pieces to my wanted list on Bricklink, went to buy all and let it just automatically select, whatever the best stores were for the price. And it ended up coming up with 8 different stores to get all the pieces I needed for this one. Because at the time, the piece count was 2,000, no, it was 2,782 pieces. And so I ordered it from the 8 stores, hoping for the best to get all the pieces with no error. There were a couple of hiccups. A couple of the stores messed up and either didn't give me all the pieces that I needed. Luckily, I had a few of them in my own collection. And then there was a situation where one of my packages got lost. And so I had to essentially reorder that package. But they got it to me on time. I'm very happy that those Bricklink stores were able to get me the pieces on time. And I was very surprised at the shipping time they got it to me. And even with that mess up. But it all worked out. I got everything. I inventoried all the pieces. Like I said, there were a couple of missing pieces, but they weren't anything major. Like a couple of, I think one of them was like a 2x3 black brick that was missing. And I had that in my own collection, so it wasn't a big deal. But it was an experience. And then once I got all the pieces ordered and had them inventoried, I pulled up my instructions, and that's what helped let me know what needed to be fixed, because I gone through and done some initial building of the instructions in Studio, but as I was going through and building it, I was finding, oh, I need to flip this because this doesn't make sense. When you're seeing it and putting on some of the panel pieces on the side for the wood panel. Some of the walls were flipped the wrong way, so I had to fix those. And then they have rules about how many pieces and different elements you can have in each step. So there were sometimes I had more than 5 different elements because that was the most that they allowed us to have in the instructions. And the most for piece count is 12. So it's 5 different elements and up to 12 total pieces in a step that you can have. So when I was going through, I was making notes like, oh, you got to fix this, fix that. But after I finished, actually building it, I went back through, and that's where I took like that 10 hours to fix each thing that I found was wrong when I was going through building it myself, using those instructions in order to perfect it and, get it to where they would be happy with it. Because they have a lot of rules. You have to mix in the minifigs in the middle because you can't have all of those at the beginning or the end. There's so many different rules that you have to follow when putting those instructions together. So like I said, I was so happy that I was able to get through and not have any changes.
Yeah, the minifig thing makes sense. I forget what show I was listening to recently, and they mentioned, you have like the best fig in the like bag 1 and bag 2, and then you skip a couple, and then all of a sudden you get like the rotten figures towards the end that nobody wants. You've lost all the excitement. Like, okay, well that's a little dramatic, but I understand.
Yeah. So they make sure that you sprinkle them in, so you can't have them all together. So I would just do like one. Well, the way I did it, I basically put the minifigs in the order that I would put them inside the house. So for example, the guy that I have outside fishing in the pictures, after I put the dock on, I had you put him together as a minifig. After I did the pool table, when I had the girl that I have standing by the pool table, I had you put her minifig together. And so that's kind of what I use as my guide to put the minifigs and sprinkle them in throughout the build.
So how many minifigures do you have in there total?
It's 8. There'll be 8.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So 2,700 some odd pieces, 8 minifigures. So somewhere 270 to 300. They'd be
exactly. Yep. So they have rules about that. They have rules on the number of minifigs that you can have versus the number of pieces that you have. And so based on the number of pieces that I have in my build, it said that was the maximum number of minifigs that I could have.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you might as well go all in and max them out, right?
Yeah. That's what I said. I mean, come on, people always want more minifigs. So I'm like, whatever the maximum number of minifigs I can have is what I'm putting in the build.
Yeah. I mean, it's as somebody who's building yourself, you know what you want. Why would you not want to give everybody what they want? I mean, you're on somebody else's dime, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Theoretically.
So whatever the maximum was, I said, all right, cool. I'm going to have 8 minifigs. And trust me, I'm going to make sure I sprinkle them throughout the build, but there are going to be 8 minifigs in this build.
So, all right. So you hit, is it 10,000? I think is the goal, right?
I think that's for Lego ideas, because with Bricklink,
Oh,
I
yeah,
haven't
yeah,
seen
that's
anywhere where it's like a number we have to hit. Because after I watched the webinar, they do their own internal thing and see how many votes they got for each one. But I don't think we ever get to learn truly the exact number of votes we got on our submissions.
Yeah, that's right. It is. Okay. Yeah. So it gets passed off to the secret Lego Society. And
Yeah.
some things happen behind the scene, and somebody nails a special envelope to somebody.
Exactly.
Then,
we don't get to know.
So eventually, because everything Lego does takes forever, when they decide that you've won, how do they let you know? Do they email you? Do they actually call?
I don't know. I just know that it comes out on March 17th, but I don't know what the process is for them notifying whoever is a finalist. I'm hoping to find out if I am a finalist, but I don't know what the process is. I know they're going to hold a webinar, because I think they did that for the last one and they really liked that. So they're going to hold a live webinar for it to announce who the finalists are. But that's all I know.
And they're probably smart enough to mute all of you guys when they make the announcement. That's the case.
I'm sure.
Everybody's got their like pizza party, and somebody brought pie and a little streamer. All of a sudden, the screen goes black. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then do they say what they give you out of the deal? I mean, I would assume they at least mail you a copy of your own set.
From what I've heard, this is the way it works between the two. So if you have a Lego idea submission, you need the 10,000 votes. They give you 10 copies of your set. If it's chosen to be made into a set, you'll get 10 copies of that. And you'll get, I think, 1% of the net profits. Whereas with Bricklink, if I'm understanding correctly, you do not get a copy of your own set. You can buy it if you want to, but you get 10% of the profits, the net profits.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I guess getting a cut is at least nice.
Yeah, I'm cool with getting a cut. Like, and the I guess the fame that comes along with it. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's because then what happens is now you've actually been recognized, and now people in better positions than us will call you and say, "Hey, you've achieved something. Come talk to us." Whereas we want to talk to you before you achieve things. Well, officially, right? Because this is an achievement of its own.
Of course, but no, I would come here no matter what the situation is.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Don't forget the little guys.
Of course not. Like I love shows like this and live streams I watch online. I feel like they're all so good in helping people in the Lego community find out more, because a lot of people don't know the process of doing these things. I didn't know it was such a process for submitting through the Bricklink Designer Program. With Lego Ideas, I don't think it's as strenuous to submit something, because all you have to do is submit pictures. You don't have to get a studio file together or anything like that. If you've got good pictures, you're good to go. Whereas with the Bricklink Designer Program, you got to get everything ready. You have to make sure the instructions make sense to them. The file has to be a certain number of pieces. You got to make sure you're using the right palette, because they release a different palette with each one of the different series. So I had started initially building probably the design that I'm going to put in the next one, which is I am going to submit a shopping center of my own design. All of the shops are going to be my own design that I want to do for my next submission. And that's what I started working on with this one initially. But I was using the Series 6 palette, because they say if you want to, get a start on it, a lot of times the pieces that were in the previous series are going to be in the next one. But lo and behold, a lot of the pieces that I was using in my Series 6 studio file were not allowed in Series 7. So I basically had to start all over, and that's where this creation came from. So the other one is still sitting in studio, unfinished. That's why I said this is the first one that I've actually finished in studio. I'm hoping that with the next series 8, some of those color pieces that I used originally are back. If not, then I'm just gonna have to, change those out and start with some new ones.
So I think the upside of them having you jump through all these hoops to get everything prepped properly is, I believe, when these sets get released, accepted and released, they're actually your product. But with ideas, when you just send them renders and whatever else, either they go and they massacre it before they release it, or they go and they just take your idea and slyly wait an extra 3 months and then release it just under, a different theme or whatever else.
Yeah.
We've seen happen a lot of times now. And man, that one kills me. Some of these poor people that have done such great work, and they've just been cheated so bad.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I liked the original Cullen House that was submitted on Lego Ideas better than the final version. I think that the original version used more black, I believe, which gave it a more dark look, which I felt was way better. But yeah, like you said, once you submit the idea, it's in their hands to come up with whatever they want to put out as the final product. So
yeah, I'm just waiting for the day that they release a Shrek set and it's exactly Ash and Flash's design, but they just put it out under a Shrek theme.
Because I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw someone submitted one a couple of years ago. I saw, and it was a nice one, but I would love to see Shrek. I would love to see a Shrek. Yeah. I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and how long did it take for Jaws to happen? And I don't know.
Because the
Lego does what they
long.
do.
It is still a long process. Look, even when I was reading the instructions the other day, it's like they have a period where when you submit it, there's a cutoff for when they're going to be reviewing those submissions. And I think the next one is coming up in May, I believe. And so they're going to review all of them, let you know whether or not yours is approved to move to the next step. And if it is, even that process again takes another year for them to develop whatever is going to be the final product. So it's just such a long process. So even if you submit something now, it's going to be at least a couple of years before you're even seeing remotely what the final product is going to be.
Yeah, I think they're just banking on, if they wait that long, maybe you've forgotten and moved on from Lego. They're like,
And I know for some people, if they're like me, we haven't forgotten. I remember I submitted it, and I think that is a shame when someone takes their time, because it takes a long time to come up with those creations and think about exactly what you want to put in there, what piece to use, and color, because a lot of times it's hard to match colors. So for example, the Martin set that I was working on in the studio, I went back and forth about what color to use for some of his interior walls, because throughout the show, throughout the seasons, the interior wall colors changed and some of the decorations would change. So it was hard for me to determine what color I wanted to use to finalize that. So a lot of work goes into that for us as designers, and for them to do something where if someone submits a Lego idea and maybe it is something, I'll even give them the benefit of that. Maybe it's something they were already working on. But it is messed up if that happens to someone, or like you said, they wait around for someone to forget about it and then go ahead and release whatever they're going to release using that same idea.
I'm trying to think. So Martin, I don't remember Martin's apartment. Was it? I've always been bad at that. Like
I was too. I never paid it any mind until I was watching it last week when I was actually doing the set, and I was of course watching the show to make sure I was doing everything as accurately as possible and getting as much of his furniture, the pictures, his table. He had like an exercise bike at one point back in like the corner near the window. And I didn't realize how often it changed. So in like season 1 in the kitchen, the countertops were black on the island that he had, and the countertops in the kitchen near the sink and the stove and everything. But then come like season 2, now he has like almost like a light wood kind of color is now the countertop color. And I never even realized that changed. I thought that his countertop color was always the wood color, because that's what it is for most of the show. Never realized for the first season that it was black. So I went with still the medium nougat wood color, because I thought that looked better. So I chose medium nougat to do his counter color in my creation. But yeah, it's a lot of different things that you think about when doing those creations, putting in, the cabinets, what appliances to put in. A lot goes into that for us as designers, and it takes so many hours to come up with those creations. And like I said, when I was watching the show, didn't even realize it went through so many different changes. By the end of the show, he had like glass pieces at one point that were in the living area. Those got taken out and got replaced by I guess sort of these wood panels. So many different changes, but I just chose the best look that I thought would go best for his apartment based on all of the different variations. I just came up with one single unified look that I thought encompassed all the best furniture pieces that I liked from the show.
Yeah. Did you give any thought into Easter eggs and things like that that seem to be a big deal in that type of set?
I didn't. I really didn't. With this one, I more just went for, the main outlook of his apartment. I did add in, the hallway, because the hallway was iconic for when, the character Shanae would be getting into it with the girls and everybody else. So I did add that. And, but no, I really didn't. I kept this one actually kind of spot on to his apartment as I could. I kind of included every furniture detail, every bookcase, any of those things that I could include in the apartment, but I kept it kind of clean for the look to make it just be his apartment. It ends with, I think I used like a black trim at the top to end the apartment. No additional things in there to add on now.
The Shanae minifigure. Oh man.
Yes.
I can almost hear it.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be. I can't wait to show it to everyone. So, like I said, I should have all the pieces this week if everyone gets me the pieces on time, because I want to post it. If not next week, the week after, I want to be ready to post it online and submit it.
Awesome. So, are you doing a mix of new and used for this purchase too?
I'll do a mix of new and used. I tried pricing it new. So for like this creation here, I priced getting this in all new pieces on Bricklink. It was like almost $600.
Yep.
Whereas a mix of new and used pieces came in at about $287.
Yep. And $50 in shipping, right?
No.
Yep.
Exactly. So
yeah.
This new one will be a mix of new and used pieces, but we'll see. Because the new one, I think when I priced the market set for a new one, it came out to about like 3 something, whereas the used one was around 100.
Okay, that's much better.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, Bricklink is it's a tricky animal.
It is, and I didn't realize it made you go through so much just to request all new pieces, because I tried, and maybe it's I got to clear my cookies, whatever settings I was doing on the computer, but I tried selecting all of them and changing the condition to new for all of them at one time, and for some reason it never worked. I literally had to check the box at the top on each page in order to request new pieces for each and every item that was in the order.
Look at that. Where I'm still adjusting to the new layout on Bricklink. Here's my wanted list. Here we go. Wanted list. I think. And edit. Where is it? Oops. Okay. All right. Somewhere in your settings, you can have it set to work off of price.
Okay.
So it'll just give you, whether it's new or used, whichever one is the best price. That'll just be what you end up with mixed in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
really helps. Normally what I do in order to get the new and used pieces. I use that logic. Whatever one comes at the cheapest price, just give me that one in order for me to get the actual product. Because even with the used pieces, I'm still I think this looks great. I wouldn't know that this really used any used pieces. So I was really happy with the quality that came with the used pieces from Bricklink. So that's why, yeah, I'm cool with using new and used pieces now that I've had my first interaction with it. I will admit there were a couple of, the white pieces, but I expect that. A couple of the white pieces, I think one of the doors on the inside had like a small mark on it, and then a couple of the bricks had, a couple of little marks on them. But I mean, they're used pieces, that's expected. So it wasn't anything major. And when I look at it, without me investigating it and searching for it, you really can't even see any of those marks anyway.
Yeah, it's whites on Bricklink are tough because
yeah,
a lot of times the sheen is missing. They're slightly yellowed like that.
Yeah,
yellow bricks on Bricklink are impossible. They're so bad.
Yeah,
so hard.
And see, I don't think I really used much yellow in this one. I think this one really had very little yellow, so I was lucky with that. But you know what? I will say this. With clear pieces, I think for clear pieces going forward, I am going to request new ones. Just because it wasn't anything with them being yellow, but a lot of them had excessive scratches on it. So I think for the clear pieces, those will be the only ones that I'll be adamant about getting new pieces. And now that you mentioned the yellow, maybe the yellow.
Yeah, those are tough. I mean, we spend a lot of time with quality control, and these acro milk drawers for bricks, they fit 13 in a row is the full length of the drawer, and we do everything in stacks of 13, so we can actually check color variations and flip them to see which edge is cracked. Quality control that way, and it's awful. You'll put 13 in a row and you'll get 8 different shades. And a couple of them will have like a purplish tint from being so dirty. You got to throw them all away. It's awful.
Yeah.
I almost don't even want to sell it.
Okay, that part. And I feel like, and I do eventually want to open a Bricklink store myself, because I now have a huge collection of pieces that I'm honestly not going to do anything with, that I'd like to either get sold or do something with. But to your point, if I see a brick where I wouldn't even feel comfortable using this brick, there's no way I would feel comfortable selling that to someone else. Because there have been bricks that I've gotten from like Bricks and Minifigs. There's another toy store out here, Rogue Toys. They sell loose Lego pieces. And some of those pieces in there, I'm surprised that you guys would even, sell this. But I feel like with them, they have a very, I want to say it's almost a minimal check of the pieces to just make sure they're not broken. They don't really care how dirty, what they look like. If it's not broken, they just throw the piece in there and they don't care.
Yeah, I mean, if I had the space for it, I would keep all of that stuff and sell it as filler brick. Because some of these people, convention season, they build these monstrosities.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what kind of condition the stuff on the inside is in, as long as it's broken.
Yeah.
So if they can get 10-cent pieces for a penny a piece and they're buying thousands of them, that might be cool for them.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I don't have anywhere to store it. I'm maxed out as it is.
That part is like where to store everything. I have nowhere to store the pieces that I have. It's crazy. I want to get more space to build more, but it's like where I literally have no more space.
Yeah.
But I'm still build. I'm still gonna build anyway. I'm gonna create some and find it somewhere. Or I'm not opposed to taking some old things down and building some new things, but I'm definitely gonna continue to build.
It's awesome. So, all right. So you have Martin coming up. You
Mhm.
want to rebuild your current build.
Yes. Yeah.
Back.
I want to.
Are you going to continue adding on to what you have as well?
So I'm planning to keep adding buildings to the city. So what I want to do next is I want to kind of, there are a few sets that I've seen recently that have come out, and a few of them are friend sets that I like the exterior of the buildings that I want to use sort of in my next creation that I build outside of studio. Um, because I feel like now the creations that I'm going to be making in studio are going to be the ones that I kind of want to submit or that I want to order specific pieces for, because I feel like that's going to be my easiest way now when I want to order specific pieces for a creation is for me to just go ahead and build it in the studio and then create a wanted list. That way I get exactly all of the pieces that I would need for the creation. And one of the things that I want to kind of work on next is a castle. I do want to work on a castle. So after I've created, or I'm done with the Martin set and I'm done with my next Bricklink submission, which is that shopping center, I do actually want to create a castle. Now I've thrown around a couple of ideas in my head, whether I want this to be a traditional castle like everyone in the Lego community seems to love, because I was shocked at the number of castle submissions there were for Bricklink Designer Program.
So many.
I think there were like 107 castles were there.
Yeah, something ridiculous like that.
So it was too many, but people seem to love them. And I'm gonna be honest, I've not been a castle fan. Castles haven't really been my thing, or maybe I just haven't seen one that I really like. Now, the one that I think that you pulled up last week, I think where you were talking with Jen, there is one that's like a vampire kind of.
Yeah.
That one I feel like is an exception. That one I want to purchase. I want to purchase that one.
It was so good.
Released for pre-orders. So I think that one is loved. And I want to create something that's kind of on that level. Because I don't want to go with a traditional like gray. Now I would do black. I am thinking of doing like a black castle. But I was also playing around with the idea of maybe doing like a modern castle style mansion where it's a mansion. So we would have like a vault in the bottom, in the basement of it. And I'm still thinking of different things I would want to put in the basement down there. And then we would have just different levels of those towers. It would look like a castle, but on the inside it would be a mansion. And I would of course add some nice window pieces in there to give it a little bit of a modern touch. But I think something like that would be kind of nice. So I'm throwing around a couple of different ideas, but I know I want to do something in the castle realm to get my feet wet in that area.
Yeah, that sounds great. That's right up my alley. Something spooky, a little bit of a spooky touch.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Like sort of maybe like a creepy, castle mansion. I think that would be something perfect where you've got down in the basement, maybe an old dungeon with a skeleton down there. And like I said, maybe a vault with like some gold pieces and some money and things in there. And then some fun things throughout the house, like secret entrances, maybe like behind a fireplace or something. Just some cool elements in there. I think that is really something unique and different. That's why that house to me really stood out. So something like that is really a cool idea that I think I want to do.
Yeah, that's exciting. Oh, yeah. So for people who aren't capable of building things like this, we have to live vicariously through you guys and just wait and hope that somebody designs something that we've been looking for off market.
And see, that's what inspired me. I know, and a lot of people aren't. A lot of people, like you said, are waiting for, people like us to create those things. And at first, I was like everyone else. I wanted to buy something that someone else created. I was like, oh, this would be cool. And I didn't think that I would ever get to where I am now. I didn't think that I would ever get to a point where I was actually submitting my own designs to Bricklink and Lego Ideas. I always thought of it as, I guess, as maybe like a dream where, oh, I think that's so cool and I admire people that do that, but I didn't think that I would be doing things like that. And then when I started my page, I really at first wanted to kind of be a Lego ambassador. That's where I was kind of heading towards when I initially created my Instagram page. But as I started doing more of my creations and doing more building, I'm like, no, like I feel like you're more a designer. You clearly like to build things, and clearly people like your designs because everyone started loving the way I would combine the sets and do my design. So that kind of motivated me to be like, you know what, I feel like I could create something, and hopefully it would be something that everyone would love and want to have a set up and have in their collection. So that's where my passion is now. I want to design something that everyone would love and want to have in their own collection, and just have that feeling of knowing that I designed something that people actually, have purchased, want to have in their homes, and potentially, have my picture, in the book as the designer, of course. But yeah.
Do you have any kind of background in design? Or did this just kind of come?
Yeah. It just came to me.
That's what I was going to say. You kind of got into this. It's just been less than a year, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a little over a year now. So I started last year in January. So it's been a little over a year.
And there was no prior expression of creativity before Lego? Wow. That bonsai tree really unlocked something.
It did. It really did. It unlocked something I didn't even know was there. I literally discovered that I had this passion with the bonsai tree. And then from there, it's just been growing and growing to the point now I know I can't stop. And I have so many ideas in my head that I want to see made into creations. And I know it definitely takes time, because when you're sitting there and you're working on these creations, thinking of what brick to use to create some type of effect or detail. I know like one of my creations, I was going around with, I wanted to create sort of like maybe a mini town that was on like a hillside. So I would create like this really beautiful green hill and put like maybe these small like little huts or houses around. That was an idea that I threw around because I wanted to come up with something that was different that we don't get to see. And a lot of trends that I was seeing with the Bricklink Designer Program, a lot of people love those like mushroom houses and those little, food truck carts and things like that. So I wanted it to be something fun that people would like that, that's imaginative. And I know this one is based off of, like I would really want to live in this house, but I would want to create something that's more imaginative, where clearly we're not going to live in a mushroom house, but that would be fun to come up with a design for it.
I can't. You need to go by. What's the new little one? Is it the Zen Garden or something?
Yes.
If you could reach like a second unlock, 13 months. I don't think I've ever learned anything to that level in that short of a period of time.
That's crazy. And it's crazy for me to think about, because when I hear, people say, how long have you been doing this? I'm like, oh, I've been doing it about a year. They're like, really? And I didn't realize how, different or special that or unique that was, because to me, I was just putting together whatever popped in my head. If I wanted to create something cool, I would think, okay, if I were really walking into a record shop. What would be cool to see in there? You want to see, maybe a record player. You'd want to see some records hanging on the wall, records in the bins for you to sift through. You probably want to see a speaker in there so that music is playing out of it. So that's how I like to think of my Lego design. If I were really walking into this building myself, what would I want to see? And I go from there, and then I try my best to create it with Lego bricks. When I first sat down to create my first creation, I had the hardest time creating even the simplest thing, like a table. I was like, what pieces would I use to create a table? And now I know there are a number of different pieces that I could use to create one. And I got that from putting together sets. And that's why I still love to put together new sets as well, because you're always still learning new techniques, ways to use the bricks in new and inventive, creative ways. New colors are coming out. So I feel it's always a great way to still learn from building other people's sets, because it'll help you with your own and knowing what could be used for different things in your creations. And it just helps to enhance that.
How long did it take you to figure out Lego math? That's hard. That's hard.
You know what? I would say it took me at least a few months to truly learn that if there are pieces that don't come in a certain size, that you can always typically make it. So for instance, the front of the house here, there was no brick long enough to come from here to here. I think this was, is it 1 by 15 or one? It's an odd size. They don't make a brick that goes from here. So if you can see, I used a bunch of plates to basically create a brick there. So that's what I do. It took me a while to realize that if there isn't a size that you need, a lot of times you can always just create it using other pieces and still make it nice and stable.
Yeah.
So yeah, it took me a few months. I would say like maybe 3 to 4 months for me to learn that. Because with my first one, I legit just used whatever brick sizes I had available, and they were very basic. So it wasn't until I started doing my other creations like the plaza and the square that I learned, oh, you can just make whatever you need. That's the beauty of Lego. You have pieces all the way down to a 1 by 1 plate. You should be able to create whatever piece you need to fit the area.
Yeah, it's all fine and good until you start going up, and then you try to work in some kind of snot technique, and the plate's too thin, and then you have three of these and 2 of these, and you need a third of something. That's the part that kills me. It's like I just want to hide these studs, and there's no possible way to do it without being 3 feet tall and crooked.
Yeah. So that was definitely a lot to learn, but it was beneficial. And like I said, a lot of it I learned from doing other sets. I would see how they would put together certain buildings. And you know what else was a good set that had a lot of good techniques? The Ninjago city markets. I loved putting that together. So they used a lot of good different techniques. And seeing a lot of those helped me with the square to get the size of the square. Because each one of those floors is all one long piece. So each one is just all connected. But when I was putting that together, I was seeing how they would use certain plates to, get around the corners, have the openings for the stairs that I needed. But yeah, that's how I would learn, is by putting together other sets. And I would see those techniques and it's like, oh, okay, I can put this into mine.
So, are you familiar with Brick World, the Lego convention?
I think I've heard it before, but I don't know a lot of information about it.
Okay. So Mark is the guy who runs Brick World, and he does. Trying to remember, he does a live show. Him and some other guy whose name I'm trying to blank on. So Not that he's watching, but if you are, forgive me. So I've tuned in a couple times, and those guys are extreme. And so the co-host of the show, last time I watched, was building octagonal mills plates because he wanted all of the pieces of his city build he was doing on octagons.
Okay. Oh, that's unique.
But
That's unique.
yeah,
Okay.
but they weren't all the same size. So he built them in 3 different sizes so that they could still all interact with each other.
Wow.
And he was explaining the technique and the math behind actually making that work. And he was really impressive. And
That's cool.
he's explaining it so casually. It's like,
Yeah.
wait, hold on a second. I need a calculator for this conversation. And it's so good.
I've never seen that. That I would love. I want to take a look at that. So I want to check that out because that is something that's very unique. Like I said, I've really only built on, 32 by 32 base plates, but for it to have that unique shape, and you said he did 3 different sizes of it to all interact and come together. That's wow.
Yeah.
Now, that's a math right there.
Yeah, and it's so good. So good. Yeah, I'll have to track that down. I'll send you a link.
Yes, please do, because I want to check that out. I think that's cool, and I love seeing new and unique ways. Because, like I said, it's something that I could possibly use in one of my future creations. But yeah, I love stuff like that, and that's what I love about the Lego community in general. And it's that we all learn from each other. Trust me, I've seen a bunch of other stuff online and learned so much from other people in the Lego community, looking at their creations and saying, oh, I love the detail they used with, like maybe the plant pieces and, seeing the way they've used, even like some snake pieces. It's really cool to see what the people create, and it really helps to influence your own creations when you get to look at that, because I'm telling you, there's so much, and I didn't realize how many different possibilities there are. That you can literally create anything with Lego.
Yep. And then you'll get 8 people that praise you and 2 people that are just being exceptionally mean at anything they possibly can. That's what
always got those people. But you always got those people. You always got the people that are going to praise you, and you always have the people that critique your creation so bad. So, for example, the police station that I created on Instagram, most of the comments were great comments. Everyone loved it. But then you had a couple of guys, I guess, that had actually either gone to jail or prison, that were criticizing the amount of room that I left in the jail cell. I'm like, guys, this is a Lego jail cell. I mean, I get that in the real world, you probably got this little tiny cubicle up in there, but I mean, this is a Lego creation. I'm not planning on having real people up in this jail, so But you always get people that are gonna critique, your creations, no matter whether you wanted it that way or not. They don't know that, but of course they're gonna always get
Yeah, and somehow somebody always brings politics into it. It's a mess. Lego is the one place where that should just be left out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. I am totally cool with that being left out of Lego. I feel like it's not needed. There are so many other things that you can do with Lego. I am totally fine with that one being off the table.
We can all be mean to each other when the bricks go away.
Yeah.
Resume normal life. Yeah. All right. So Jesus, I smashed into the microphone. Voting ends on the 21st.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. So voting ends on the 21st, and I've literally been messaging everyone that I know to try to get their vote. Honestly. I really hope people like this design and really want to support it and buy it. It is picked as a finalist because there have been past Bricklink submissions because I've literally gone through each series and even some of the past ones before I guess the series one started, and I was seeing that some of the submissions, even though they were I guess picked as a finalist, didn't make it to funding because they didn't get the 3,000 sets sold. I haven't seen that happen with these series though. So the series 1 through 7, pretty much I've seen all of those. It looks like have reached funding. Even some of the ones in series 4 that just went live for pre-order. Of course, the Castle one sold out. What was it, within the first hour or two that Castle one was sold out? But yeah, I'm hoping that people will vote for it, that you want to see this as a set, and that it will be supported if it's picked as a finalist, because I would love, love, love to get this made into a set.
So I don't know if it ever happened or if they're still talking about it or where that went. At some point, they were talking about the sets that don't make it. You could present them in some sort of way through Bricklink, so people could just basically buy your instructions and through Bricklink buy the parts. Did they ever follow through?
So, I mean, according to the rules that I read, because I literally read through all of the rules, the rule is while it's in the submission period, so right now, for example, this one, since it's in the submission period, I can't have the instructions on Bricklink, I can't have it on Rebrickable, basically any of those sites. But once it's over and they've made their decision on March 17th, and let's say they don't choose this one, I'm free to put this on Bricklink and put the instructions on there if I want to, or Rebrickable if I want to, because it's my creation. Like you said, in Bricklink Designer Program, these are our creations. So I'm allowed to sell the instructions, do whatever I want with it. But if I do decide to resubmit it again, I would have to take it off of Rebrickable and take the instructions down from Bricklink in order for me to resubmit it as an actual submission in a series.
Okay. So it's great to have the option, but a nuisance if you want to. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly, because if I do want to resubmit it, and if I put it out there on Rebrickable, I've got to take it all down just to be able to resubmit it at that time.
Well, I mean, I guess that's not that hard to do. It can't be more than click a couple buttons.
Yeah, so I feel like I would do that if it's not chosen as a finalist. I would be totally cool with putting the instructions up on Rebrickable for people to either purchase or do whatever they want with if they want to get them.
Yeah, that's awesome. You definitely should. And then next thing you know, you get a whole stack of instructions out on Rebrickable, and you get another revenue source and have all kinds of fun.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things I want to do as well. That was another reason why I do want to put my other creations in Studio as well, so I can create the instructions for those, because then I'm able to put those instructions on Rebrickable and Bricklink and sites like that if people want to go ahead and buy the instructions for those as well. So I am planning to do those in Studio, not only to fix the color of the pieces, but if anyone wants to buy those creations like the treehouse. So I'm planning to put the treehouse, the police station, the plaza, and the square. All 4 of those creations will be on Rebrickable.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean it's very frustrating when you see some of these things, scrolling through Instagram, wherever else, and be like, well, that's great, but how'd you build it? Well, I don't know. Yeah. I just built it. Like, well, but I want it.
And that's what I would get.
Just look at it.
That's what I would get from people. So I've had multiple people reach out to me about the treehouse, like, oh, that is awesome. I love what you did with the treehouse. I kind of want to do that with mine. Do you have the instructions? And right now I'm like, no, I just put it together. But I do know, what the instructions are. I just need to put it into Studio, and then I can put it out there for people.
Well, that's going to be something to look forward to. And you can see you building quite the catalog over there.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. And like I said, I have a lot more creations that are going to be coming out, so I'm planning to just keep stacking it up over there.
Nice. Do you have an account set up so when you're ready to roll, you can just get right in on that?
Yeah. Yeah. So I have accounts set up on, Rebrickable, of course on Bricklink. And Bricklink, I don't know if someone had my username previously or if they weren't allowing it. So I don't know if there's someone on Bricklink that already has Brick City Time, but I had to add the dot in my name in order for me to even, get a similar username in there. So
Yeah, I saw that. Is there something about the word brick being in the name that is an issue for them?
That's what I was wondering. I've seen a bunch of other people use brick in the name though.
Yeah, I was trying to make an account yesterday too, and it just brick for whatever reason it wouldn't let me put it in.
And I feel like some people have gotten around it because I've seen people, and maybe the rules used to be different, but I could not get Brick City Time as a username. I had to put some type of dot underscore something in it in order for me to even allow it to put in.
Actually.
But you got brick in your name, right, Ken?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. My store name is the Brick Dynasty.
And that's why I'm wondering, like, did something change at some point? Because it would not allow me to do it no matter what I tried to do.
Maybe it can't be the first.
Maybe it can't be the first one. Maybe
first or last.
Right. Maybe it can't be the first letter. Yeah.
The Brick Time City? I don't know. Yeah. It's too long of a name.
I am the Brick Dynasty on Bricklink. And actually, now that I say that, I couldn't have Brick Dynasty. It wouldn't let me take it. I never even considered as to why, so I just added the Brick Dynasty. I thought maybe it was already taken. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, it was weird. So, but yes, I've created accounts on all those platforms. I'm just getting the instructions together so I can submit it on there. But that's really where I'm gonna do with my Rebrickable account. So I think that with Rebrickable, that's gonna be for my creations that I do. Most of them will be the ones that I do live, and then probably do the instructions in studio afterwards. Just because I'm going to be probably using a lot of different official Lego sets and meshing them together, because I do like to create like that, where I take those different sets because they are really cool, like use the friend sets and some of the city sets, and I like to just mesh them together to create a whole new city build.
Use Lego the way Lego is meant to be used.
Yes. Yeah. And Lego clearly likes to see it that way. They like to comment on the ones where I do use their official sets and mesh them together. Those seem to be their kind of favorite posts that I've put up so far.
So Lego has actually commented on those?
Yeah. Yeah. So some of the ones that you pulled up, Lego comments were on some of those.
Huh.
They were on a lot of them, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, they like those ones where I mesh the buildings together. They apparently, their Instagram team loved those builds.
Now, when they like or comment or whatever on your post, do you see any additional engagement come from that?
Sometimes, yes. So there have been times where on the post that they commented on, more people will either comment on the post, they'll like their comment, and I do see more engagement on the post from that. Like the one, I think the first one that you pulled up with that car where he was holding the cup of coffee, that was a really popular post, and that was one of the ones that they commented on.
Okay. Yeah, I still don't understand the Instagram algorithm at all.
I don't either. And see, I think that the posts that they only see are the ones where you actually tag their name in the post. If you tag them in the picture, I don't think they really see those. But any of the ones where I put like their actual Lego name in the comment and tag it that way, those seem to be the ones that they see more than just tagging them regularly.
All right. So they're not finding you organically; they're finding you through being tagged.
Exactly. Because if you notice, like even on Lego's website, they'll tell you to tag or put @Lego in your posts because they want to see how you've taken their Lego sets and made it your own. And then on some of the posts they'll have fan moments, where they'll have a section that they select different fan posts that they'll kind of put on there. All of those came from people that use the @Lego in their comments.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to know. It's their community engagement team or whatever that section is called. I'd like to see them do a lot more than the cookie cutter stuff they do.
Yeah.
Then maybe they wouldn't have to rely on LAN quite as hard.
Yeah.
To put out, the same review video 143 times in a row. Which, no fault to them. I mean, what are your options for review video? I don't know what the limits are there. I mean, you can only do so much. Right? What is this? Oh, good. Spam comments. Beautiful. Man, Twitch is a weird place. The only spam comments we've ever got through Twitch tonight.
I've never, and this is my first time, I guess, being live on Twitch. I've set up a Twitch account as well, so I did sort of set up a Twitch account as well, but I haven't used that one either.
Yeah, first time for us, and I don't even know what it looks like over there because I'm just seeing the StreamYard thing.
Yeah,
I'll see if there's a replay later on down the road.
Yeah, there should be a replay. A lot of ads on Twitch if you're a free user.
No, not you, man. That's funny. All right, yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out. All right, so YouTube channel coming soon?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
All right, good.
Yeah, because I kind of messaged you. I just requested live access for my my YouTube channel, and I was so hoping that it wouldn't affect me coming on this live stream, because I guess they make you wait 24 hours from requesting it before you can do your first live stream on your channel, and I didn't know that was a thing. But I was happy to know that it doesn't affect this. Cool. Yeah, but that's what I want to do. I want to start doing videos and posting, and I actually want to start doing like live building streams. So I think for the Martin set, I kind of want that to be my first one. So once I do get all the pieces, I think I want to set up like a live stream where I do a live build of that set and kind of start doing builds and stuff like that.
Awesome, I love it. All right, so. Okay, so there's nothing there yet. So Instagram is the only live
Instagram right now is the only live populated page right now that has all of my current content and creations. But trust me, I am planning on branching out more, because like I said, I just started the Instagram page back in July of last year. So just getting everything set up and learning everything, because like I said, it was even a process learning Studio, and now that I'm proficient with using it, now I'm going to start using Brickable and some of those other outlets as well, which is great.
Beautiful. All right. Well, we have linked your Instagram page in the description of the show, so anybody watching, find it right there. No hunting. The pinned comment is the link to go and vote. So everybody, please make sure you go and do that. It's very simple. If you've never voted through Bricklink before, it's like if you're old and out of touch with everything in the world like me, you can still do it in under 60 seconds. It's very fast, painless process. If you're really quick at these things, leave a comment too. Stir up a little more attention, tickle the algorithm, whatever that does.
Yes.
All very simple.
I don't think comments count, is what they said in the webinar. Comments don't count. It really does just go by votes. But trust me, I saw a couple of ones out there that had quite a number of comments. Like, I think for me, when I was going through all the submissions, the one that had the most comments when I looked was wasn't it like a farm? I keep forgetting the name of it, but it was one of those like barns. It was like a red barn that everyone seemed to be really, really in love with this series. It's not my kind of thing. I don't plan on putting it in my city, but everyone seemed to go crazy over that. I think it had like over 500 comments.
Really? Did it look like one of the old Lego town?
I believe so. I mean, it looks nice. Like it's definitely a nice build. I'm not taking anything, from it. I'm getting the name now, but yeah, it just wasn't anything that I would use. But I see why people, found this one really, really popular. Yeah, let me see. Gosh, so many submissions. And I love how it's just a random order because I've seen these in so many different orders on here.
Oh,
yeah, because I think it is. I think so.
Okay.
Or no, I don't think it was that one. Not Ye Old Red Barn. There's another one that everyone, and I know as soon as I see it, because it is like a bright red barn. And I'm surprised it's this far back on this page.
I just searched.
Here we go. It's called Applewood Acres is what it's called.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Applewood Acres. It's got like 562 comments, but people seem to love this build.
I must be missing something. I mean, it looks nice, but
that's how I feel. I feel like it looks really nice. I just didn't think it would get this much attention. I mean, it's a barn that's 2,400 pieces, and yeah, a lot of people really like the set.
I wonder if the big selling point is it comes with so many animals. We got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like 8, 9, maybe 10. I don't know. It's hard to tell from the aerial view here. It's a lot, though.
It is a lot. It is a lot.
It's the Barnyard Battle Pack.
But yeah, out of all the ones that I've seen so far, that one to me had the most comments. I didn't see any other single submission that had that many comments. But even though comments don't count, I feel like if it has that many comments, it's probably got a nice amount of votes too.
Yeah. Well, and they might not count, but they're contagious. I think is the thing.
That's what it is.
People are far more likely to vote the same way as the person standing next to them than the person that on the other side of the wall, right?
That part.
So.
But we'll see, because we don't know what else is going to happen. Apparently, Lego, they does their whole internal review, and so like out of all the castles, they'll see whichever castle had the most votes, and they'll decide if that one's going to be the one that they choose. But I don't know if they have specific categories for the other ones. I just know that number one, they always try to include a castle because of so many castle submissions. I know, of course, they're going to choose a couple of, probably those medieval scenes to go along with it. But I don't know what other format they use, because they were really kind of tight-lipped on the webinar about any other specifics they use when they're going through the submissions.
Who was it? Lego CPA or CPA Fall, it goes by, who's a CPA and a Lego fan, obviously. He interviewed somebody from the Bricklink Designer Program, and they talked about how they run pricing and a little bit on how selection actually works.
Mm-hmm.
And they did touch on being able to hit a few different price tiers. Like it's all fine and good to take, like the top 10 or whatever.
Mhm.
But if all of them are $300 sets, then they lose a whole bunch of fans being able to make a purchase.
Yeah.
Where it's nice to be able to sprinkle in an $80 set and make it more accessible to people.
Yeah.
But some of them that do well, there'll be a small part count, but they'll be working with a lot of like big dense plastic, big pieces and whatnot that drive up the price. And then you start sitting in that gray area where it's, I don't know, it's 85 pieces, but they're going to charge $160 for it. Like, all of this year's Star Wars sets. And that becomes uncomfortable, and they don't want to release those things either. So I think they have to play around with a lot of that. But
Got it. And see, and that's crazy how, because in the webinar, he makes it seem like you don't want to overuse certain color pieces. Like you don't want to use gold or silver, pieces that would be more expensive colors. He does mention that, but he basically says for kind of almost anything else, it's made to seem like the piece count would be, just 10 cents per piece, because they're the ones making the pieces. So as long as you're using pieces that are within the palette, he makes it seem like the piece count to them, they're going to try to stick around 10 cents per piece when they come to, pricing this item. So for something like mine, it's going to be somewhere around the $200 range. And it's like, would someone pay $200 for this? And then to your point, he says they try to stick around an average of 2,500 pieces. So if they have something that's 700 pieces, and then they've got another set that was really high up that was like 3,000 something pieces. Well, if both of those are in top two positions, well, they're in, because if you average them together, they're probably going to be around 2,500 pieces, because you got one with a low piece count and one with a high piece count. But like you said, if all of the top 10 have all high piece counts, that's why they have to start knocking off some of the other ones, where it's like, okay, well, this is the highest castle, so we're only going to allow one castle with this high piece count. This one's in. Oh, this house has maybe 800 piece count, and this one was a high one. Okay, this one's in because it's going to average out with the castle. Then the next one may be around 2,500 parts. Okay, if this one was high up, okay, that one can be in, because we're still around our $2,500 average. And so he was kind of breaking it down like a list like that, where he was going through how they finalized that top 5 to make sure they stay within around the 2,500 piece count, but like you said, have some that are higher and some that are on the lower end for customers that want to purchase, the less or lower sets.
You imagine being the guy who's trying to buy one of everything, and all of them are $250 sets, $300 sets. That's going to be painful.
And I know there are guys out there who do it, who no matter what comes out, they buy one of each one of the sets that come out. And I couldn't imagine spending all of that. Because, like I said, most of the time with the sets that come out, there are maybe one or two that I would personally consider buying. So there's one in Series 6, I believe, the Art Factory. I want the Art Factory. I believe that's what it's called, right?
I don't remember that one.
It's like a building. I think it opens, it swings open, and it has like a working elevator. Yeah, the Art Factory. Yep, in Series 6. I do want that building. And I actually do like the designer who designed that. I actually liked all of his designs so far. I just have now learned about Bricklink too late to purchase the earlier ones. What was it? The train station he did in Series 2, and then the Art of Chocolate that was in Series 3, I think. Was it Series 3? The Art of Chocolate?
Yeah, that sounds right, because that was not the last one to ship. It was the one before that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. So
they get delayed so long.
So I've liked all of his designs so far, and I do like the Art Factory as well. So this one is going to be the first building that I'd be able to pre-order, for the ones that he's come out with, unless I, get one of these other ones via resale, which I'm going to be paying hundreds more. So I don't think I'll be doing that, but I will be getting the Art Factory when that one goes up for pre-order.
it's so funny because I always like forget who a lot of the winners are because I'll be in this stage where I'll look through and be like, all right, well, I would buy that. That's not going to win. I would buy that. That's not going to win. And then I just kind of move on. So when everything comes out, it's like, okay, well, realistically, this is all great stuff that deserves to be in this spot. I'm not going to buy 99% of them.
Exactly. Yep.
And
that's how
the
it
rare
is.
occasion I would buy that they sell out before I have a shot at them anyway.
That's the worst part. The fact that they do, some of them sell out so fast where you can't even get it at the retail price. Now you're stuck with either buying it resale or you now missed it. This will be my first time buying through pre-order because I didn't pre-order any of the Series 4 sets. I wasn't really into any of them. The castle one I may have considered, even though I'm not even a castle person, but I did like the little Market Street that they did with it. I thought that was cool. But this will be the first one that I'm going to actually pre-order that catches my eye. Other than that, most of them haven't caught my eye.
Well, you're going to have to pre-order your own, apparently, since they're not going to give you one.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to pre-order two. So if mine gets made into a set, I already have it set that I'm at least pre-ordering two for sure, because that's the maximum that we can order anyway.
What do they say? One to rock, one to stock?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what it'll be.
Yeah. You'll have to find somebody to order you another one so you can actually sell it on the aftermarket and make a couple extra bucks.
Well, actually, what I'm thinking of is if I do that and get someone to buy an extra one, I think the extra one I'm actually going to give away in a giveaway.
That's awesome. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. I think that's what I want to do. So I'll probably want to just give away any extra set that I have as my very first official giveaway. So I think that would be cool.
You got to make sure you sign it before you ship it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it'll definitely be autographed.
Yeah, with one of the gold paint markers or something shiny.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good idea. I wasn't even thinking about that, but that's cool. I do actually like the idea. So I would definitely look for one of those different color markers. I think gold is a nice color. It would probably go nicely on the box with this one. So yeah, I think that'd be cool.
I don't know if this is intentional or if I'm just noticing it because of how it is on my screen. And I think that's the front. It's hard to tell because it's real small right now. Around the window is the woodwork designed to make it look like a flag.
No, it actually isn't. It just happened to come out like that. So where the wood and the panels are placed are actually because of things on the inside. So from this third floor, there's wood placed here because this is where the master bathroom is. So behind here is where that silver mirror is, and the sink and toilet are behind here. So literally the inside helped dictate what would be on the outside. Behind this wall in here, this is the stairs. So behind these are where the stairs are placed for the first and second floor.
Saunders, you see the flag there?
A little bit.
Okay. Yeah, that's funny. I hadn't noticed that until it was very small. Just kind of caught my eye.
But yeah, nope. So all of that was placed based on what was on the inside of the house, and I just made it look good from the outside as well.
Which goes back to what you were saying earlier about planning from the inside out.
Yeah. Exactly, because that way I knew when I got to the bathroom, I knew I wanted a mirror up, so I knew I would need wall on the outside. That this wasn't going to just be one big open window, and so that's why this was strategically placed to cover just those certain areas inside.
That's great. All right, well, we are at the 2-hour mark, so we should probably start to wrap. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and showing us all of this and telling some of your story here. It's absolutely fascinating.
Yes,
Reminder to everyone. Yeah. So everyone watching, if you were catching this in the replay, the link to vote and the link to his Instagram are in the description. Go check those out. If you are here still now, the pinned comment is the link to go vote. Please go do that. And let us know. We're on all the socials. Let Marcus know. Tell us you voted. We want to hear about it.
Yes, I
add it
would
to your
love to
story.
hear about it.
Tell your
Please, like
friends.
every single vote counts. So please go in and vote.
All right. And with that note, we'll call it a night. Guys, it's been real. And we will see you soon.
Thank you, Marcus.
Good night.
Good luck, man.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks, guys. Bye.